You are born for this moment, not by accident, not by some random stroke of luck. There is a reason you're here listening to this message in this exact moment of your life. The question is, are you ready to step into it? Most people go through life believing that things just happen to them. They think their circumstances, their upbringing, their past mistakes determine their future. But that's a lie. Life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. Every challenge, every setback, every so-called failure you've ever experienced has been part of your training. The struggles weren't there to break you, they were there to prepare you, to shape you, to forge the kind of person who can handle what's coming next. Think about it. Every great leader, every world changer, every person who has ever left a lasting impact went through seasons of pain, uncertainty, and pressure, because pressure creates diamonds, fire forges steel. You don't become unstoppable by having an easy path. You become unstoppable by overcoming. The truth is, most people aren't ready when their moment comes. Not because they aren't capable, not because they aren't smart enough, strong enough, or talented enough, but because they don't believe they are. They've been conditioned to think small, to shrink back, to hesitate when they should be charging forward. And I get it, it's easy to hesitate. It's easy to let fear take the wheel, but let me tell you something, your brain is wired for survival, not for greatness. If you let it, it will keep you playing small, staying safe, avoiding risk. It will trick you into believing that you're not ready, that you need more time, that you need someone else's permission. That's a lie. You don't need more time. You don't need someone to give you the green light. You are the green light. You're not here to wait. You're here to lead, to take ownership of the moment in front of you, to recognize that every skill you've developed, every lesson you've learned, every ounce of pain you've endured has been preparing you for this next level. But here's the deal. Life isn't going to hand it to you. You have to claim it. You have to decide that you're ready. Not someday, not when it's convenient, but right now. Because here's the ultimate truth. You wouldn't have the dream if you didn't already have the ability to achieve it. The fact that you feel the calling means you already have what it takes inside you. But potential is useless without action. You have to step up. You have to move. You have to own the fact that you were chosen for something bigger than yourself. Your life is determined by one thing: your decision. Not your circumstances, not your past, not the people around you, your decisions. Every moment of your life, you are making choices that either move you forward or keep you stuck. And the quality of those decisions determines the quality of your life. Most people don't realize how much power they have. They live as if their future is dictated by things outside of their control. They say, I can't do this because of my past, or I would change, but the economy is tough, or I want to, but I'm afraid of failing. They react to life instead of taking ownership of it. And that's exactly why they stay trapped in the same patterns year after year. But the truth is, one decision can change everything. One decision, one moment where you draw a line in the sand and say, enough. This is who I am now. That's how transformation happens. Not gradually, not over time, but in an instant. When you finally decide to stop tolerating less than you deserve, think about it. Every great breakthrough in history came from a single decision. A moment where someone decided, I will make this happen. Edison didn't just hope to invent the light bulb. He decided he would, no matter how many times he failed. Oprah didn't wait for someone to give her permission to be great. She decided she was worthy of more and acted accordingly. That's the difference between people who create extraordinary lives and those who settle. The ones who rise aren't necessarily the smartest. They aren't always the most talented. They are simply the ones who make a firm decision and then back it up with relentless action. And if you're waiting for certainty before you decide, let me tell you something, you'll be waiting forever. Because certainty doesn't come before you act. It comes because you act. The moment you commit fully, the moment you burn the boats and remove quitting as an option, that's when you tap into a level of drive and creativity you didn't even know you had. That's when you find the way forward. You have to stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I succeed? Because whatever you focus on, you move toward. If you focus on doubt, you'll create reasons to hesitate. If you focus on what's possible, you'll start seeing the opportunities that were in front of you all along. Your future isn't something that happens to you, it's something you create. And it starts with a decision, a real decision, not a wish, not a hope, not a maybe someday, but a now. So ask yourself, what have you been putting off? What area of your life have you been waiting to change? Because this is your moment. This is your chance to decide that you will no longer settle, that you will no longer let fear dictate your choices, that you will step up, take control, and create the life you were meant to live. Fear is the biggest liar you will ever meet. It whispers in your ear, convincing you to play small, to hesitate, to hold back, when you should be charging forward. And if you listen to it long enough, it becomes your map. It shapes your reality. It dictates your future. But here's what you need to understand. Fear is not real. It's a projection of your mind, a pattern designed to keep you safe, not to make you great. Your brain is wired for survival, not for fulfillment. It's constantly scanning for threats, constantly trying to keep you in the familiar, even if the familiar is making you miserable. And most people don't question it. They feel the fear and assume it means stop. They assume that uncertainty means danger, that discomfort means retreat. But that's the trap. Because if you always wait for fear to disappear before you move, you'll be stuck forever. Look at anyone who has achieved something extraordinary. Do you think they were fearless? Do you think they woke up every morning overflowing with confidence? No. The difference is they trained themselves to act in spite of the fear. They conditioned their minds to push forward even when their emotions told them to turn back. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that something else matters more. And this is where most people get stuck. They let fear dictate their focus. They spend all their energy thinking about what could go wrong, about how they might fail, about how hard it's going to be. But whatever you focus on, you move toward. If you constantly focus on fear, you'll create a reality where that fear controls you. You need to shift your focus. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Start asking, what if I succeed? Instead of thinking about the pain of trying, think about the pain of not trying, of staying exactly where you are a year from now, 5 years from now, knowing you could have been more. This is why belief is so powerful. When you train your mind to focus on possibility instead of fear, you create a completely different life. Your brain starts looking for solutions instead of excuses. You develop a sense of certainty, not because the path is clear, but because you decided to make it clear. And that certainty is what separates leaders from followers. It's what allows some people to thrive in chaos while others shrink back. Because let's be honest, the world isn't going to get easier. The economy will shift, technology will evolve, there will always be uncertainty. The question isn't whether fear will show up, it will. The question is, what will you do when it does? Will you let it control you? Will you let it talk you out of your own future? Or will you take back the wheel and move forward anyway? Because in the end, fear only has the power you give it. The moment you stop feeding it, the moment you choose to act in spite of it, is the moment you take your life back. So what's it going to be? Will you let fear keep running the show, or will you finally step up and own your future? The world is changing faster than ever before. Technology is evolving at a pace that most people can't keep up with. Entire industries are being disrupted. The rules you were taught, the ones that worked for previous generations, are no longer the rules that will help you thrive in the future. And yet, most people are still playing the old game. They're waiting for things to go back to normal. They're resisting change instead of adapting to it. But here's the truth. The people who succeed in the next decade won't be the ones who cling to the past. They'll be the ones who embrace change, who innovate, who evolve faster than the world around them. Because in any period of disruption, there are two types of people, those who get crushed by the wave and those who become the wave. And that all comes down to one thing: adaptability, your ability to shift, to anticipate, to reinvent yourself before the world forces you to. That's the difference between those who thrive and those who struggle. Think about this. How many people do you know who are stuck in the same patterns, using the same skills, thinking the same way they did 10 years ago, and they wonder why they aren't growing? The world is moving forward, but they're standing still. And if you stand still in a world that's accelerating, you're actually moving backward. Look at the most successful people on the planet. They aren't just the smartest or the most talented. They're the most adaptable. They stay ahead of the curve. They don't wait for change to happen to them. They create the change. They learn new skills. They anticipate problems before they arise. They constantly ask, how can I grow? How can I improve? Because here's the reality. What got you here won't get you there. The strategies that worked in the past won't necessarily work in the future. You have to be willing to let go of what's comfortable, to step into the unknown, to reinvent yourself as many times as necessary. That's the mindset of a leader. That's the mindset of someone who refuses to be left behind. And let's be real, change can be uncomfortable. It's easier to stay in familiar territory even if it's no longer serving you. But the people who win in life aren't the ones who avoid discomfort. They're the ones who use it. They lean into uncertainty. They develop a hunger for learning, for growth, for innovation. So ask yourself, are you resisting change or are you getting ahead of it? Are you still playing by outdated rules or are you actively shaping your future? Because the ones who wait for things to be perfect, the ones who hesitate, the ones who think they have time, those are the ones who get left behind. The world is shifting, whether you like it or not, whether you're ready or not, things will never be the same again. The only question is, will you rise to meet it? Everything in life comes down to one thing: hunger. Not talent, not intelligence, not luck, hunger. That burning drive inside you that says, I will not settle, I will not stop, I will not accept less than I'm capable of. Hunger is the force that separates those who live extraordinary lives from those who spend their days making excuses. Look around. How many people do you know who are capable of more, but they're stuck? They have the skills, they have the knowledge, but they lack the drive, they lack the fire. And without that, nothing changes. Because talent without hunger is wasted potential. Knowledge without hunger is useless information. Every great leader, every world changer, every person who has broken through to an entirely new level of life has one thing in common. They wanted it more. They weren't just interested. They weren't just hoping. They were obsessed. But here's the problem. Most people have lost their hunger. They've been conditioned to settle, to get just comfortable enough, to lower their expectations so they don't have to feel disappointed. And over time, that hunger, the very thing that makes you alive, starts to fade. So let me ask you, what are you hungry for? What drives you? What would you fight for, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it, even when no one believes in you? Because without that, you won't push through the pain. You won't get back up when life knocks you down, and you will get knocked down. That's not a question. The question is, will you get back up? And the answer depends on one thing: your purpose. Because hunger isn't just about ambition. It's not just about making more money, having more success, or achieving more status. That won't sustain you when things get tough. What sustains you is a purpose that's bigger than yourself, a mission that fuels you. Think about the people who have truly changed the world. Martin Luther King Jr., Elon Musk, Oprah Winfrey, Mother Teresa, Steve Jobs. Different people, different industries, different backgrounds, but all had one thing in common: a mission that was bigger than themselves, something that kept them going long after most people would have quit. And that's the secret. When you find something that's bigger than you, something that truly matters, your hunger becomes unstoppable. You stop making excuses, you stop hesitating, you develop a level of resilience and creativity that most people never tap into. So if you feel stuck right now, if you feel like you've lost your edge, the first step isn't to push harder. It's to reconnect to your hunger, to find that why that makes you get up earlier, stay up later, push through the pain, and refuse to quit. Because at the end of the day, life isn't about what you can get. It's about who you become. It's about the impact you make. And the only way you reach your full potential is if you develop an insatiable hunger to grow, to contribute, to give more than you take. So I'll leave you with this. If you don't have what you want in life, ask yourself, how hungry are you really? Because the ones who must succeed do. The ones who only want to don't. Your life is a direct reflection of your standards. Not what you wish for, not what you hope for, but what you demand from yourself. Because every result in your life, your health, your finances, your relationships, your success, comes down to one thing. What will you no longer accept? Most people don't even realize they've set standards for themselves. They think life just is what it is. But that's not true. Every single day you are reinforcing what you will and won't tolerate. If you're always struggling financially, it's because you've accepted a certain level of financial struggle. If your body isn't where you want it to be, it's because at some level you've accepted that as okay. If your relationships aren't passionate, fulfilling, or deep, it's because you've settled for something less than you deserve. Now, this isn't about guilt, it's about awareness. Because the moment you raise your standards, everything changes. When you decide that a certain level of health is unacceptable, you find the energy to train, eat right, and take care of your body. When you decide that a certain income is no longer acceptable, you start looking for opportunities, expanding your skill set, and doing whatever it takes. But here's the key. Changing your standards isn't about what you say you want. It's about what you prove you want through action. Because the world doesn't give you what you ask for. It gives you what you fight for. And this is where most people fall short. They set goals, they dream big, they get inspired, but then their actions don't align with those ambitions. They say they want financial freedom, but they keep making excuses about why they can't start that business. They say they want a world-class body, but they keep hitting snooze instead of hitting the gym. They say they want a passionate relationship, but they don't put in the effort to nurture and deepen it. If you want a different life, you must take different actions. You must take massive action, not a little, not when you feel like it, not when it's convenient. Massive, focused, and relentless action. And listen, taking action doesn't mean you won't fail. You will fail. You will hit obstacles. But if your standards are high enough, you won't stop. You'll adjust, you'll adapt, you'll do whatever it takes, because the alternative, staying where you are, is simply not an option. That's what separates people who achieve from those who just talk about achieving. The ones who make it aren't always the smartest. They aren't always the most talented. They're just the ones who refuse to lower their standards no matter what. So ask yourself, where in your life have you been tolerating less than you deserve? Where have you settled? Well, what area needs to shift right now? Because if you're not where you want to be, it's time to raise your standards. It's time to take massive action. It's time to stop negotiating with your excuses and step into the life you were meant to live. The question is, will you rise to meet it?